Hi guys, welcome back to Dharma Geosphere. I am Dharma, the CEO and founder of Dharma Geosphere. Today we'll be starting with the contributions of geographers. We will take up first the contributions of Greeks and Romans. We have already done the introduction of the geographical thought. There are two videos. Please, I'm sure you may have already gone through. In case you have not gone through, please go through those as you will get an overview of the entire geographical thought. And now we will be doing the individual geographers and how they have contributed towards the development of geography as a discipline. So the most famous and important Greek and Roman geographers which start with Homer and the tales of Miletus and Anaximander. There was Hecataeus and Eratosthenes, and there was Herodotus, and there was this Hipparchus, and followed by Aristotle and Plato and Ptolemy and Strabo. So we'll now I'll now show you the contributions of each of these very famous Greek and Roman geographers and how and what they have contributed towards geography and its development. So this is the first of the A part or A domain, which is the geography in the 18th century. I'll be following this video with the other contributors, like we will do the Middle Ages and the Arabs, and then the Age of Exploration as part of this A section. So here is the map of Greece. The location of Greece was advantageous and provided an impetus for the development of geographical thought due to its geographical location. The Greece was surrounded on both the sides, as you can see, by the Aegean Sea, and also the topography was so, and physiographic features were so varied that it provided the right place and opportunity for the Greek scholars to study geography. There were several straits, there were torrential rivers, and in and around there were so many islands, and it was all very conducive to study geography, and that is how the geography as a discipline literally flourished during the Greek, as each one of them contributed in their own way in the development of geography. So it was Homer who was the first through his epic poem called the Odyssey, wherein he described several places and also identified the oceans and various islands and lands in and around Europe. He was considered to be the first to think that the earth was circular and was surrounded by the oceans on all the sides, as you can see here. And he also thought that there were about 4 winds which moved in different directions, and he brilliantly described each of the winds in his epic poem. Of course, he thought that the sky was flat and concave on the surface, and it was resting on the pillars like this. But of course, in spite of the great literary writings which he did in his epic poem, he had his limitations because he was more of a poet than a geographer. Then you have tales of Miletus. Miletus is a small place just near the Aegean Sea, where this mathematical development of geography and models took place in and around that place. So that's how that place contributes. One of them was Thales. Thales was brilliant because he went on a business trip to Egypt, and then he learned the various pyramidal and various geometric structures which he observed there, and he came back and he propounded several theories relating to latitude and longitude, as well as the geometric designs, and that he was one of the first to divide the circle into two equal parts by its diameter. And most importantly, with reference to geography, he was the first to visualize the shape of the earth as a disk, like you can see here, like a disk floating in water. So this was the contribution of Thales. And then Anaximander, you may have heard that he was the first to have put in the innovative instrument called the gnomon, or the sundial. Maybe you have seen, those of you who are living in Delhi, the Jantar Mantar, you can see the whole sundial there. So this is an instrument which measures the movement of the sun and how to calculate the day, and during the day how it progresses. And then we had the Hecataeus. Hecataeus was famous for his Gest Periodes, which was basically one of the first books to describe the earth in its whole sum, and it is also the first attempt to put all the available literature and facts about lands in one of the world in one place, very structurally and very systematically. And this is for the reason why he was also considered by the Greeks themselves as the father of geography. Another important aspect which Hecataeus in his map he showed was the place of India. As you can see, the arrow showing, this is where he showed India for the first time. Then we had Eratosthenes, who accurately estimated the circumference of the earth for the first time. He was also the one to define geography, as we have already discussed in our the introduction videos. He was also credited to have found the leap year, and he divided all the climate types into 5 zones, including a torrid zone. So this is how he mapped the world. This is the world according to Eratosthenes, and this is how he measured exactly the circumference of the earth. Herodotus, you all may be aware probably that he was the father of history, but he believed that there is no history without geography and there is no geography without history. He divided the landmass of the whole world into 3 continents, Europe, Asia and Libya, as you can see here. And he was also, he drew the attention of the meridian of the world map, and also theorized the flow of Nile. In doing so, he also identified, and he is considered to be the first geographer to identify the Caspian Sea to be an inland sea. You can see that the sea which is surrounded on all sides by land. Then Hipparchus, he was the first to divide the circle into 360 degrees. He also defined very precisely the latitudes and the longitudes of the earth, and then he also identified the great circle, that the equator, which divides the earth into 2 equal parts. Then we have the Aristotle. I'm sure you all know that he was in fact the first determinist to believe that it was the environmental factors which determine the shape and lifestyle of people. He proposed the varying habitability of the earth with varying latitude. We said that as you move up the latitude, the idiosyncrasies and the habits and the lifestyles of the people keep changing with the moving latitude, and he established firmly that as one moves away from the equator, there is a definite trend of these physical and social characteristics that the human beings develop. He also believed that the earth is round because it casts a shadow here near the moon. So this is the evidence he thought was good enough to prove that the earth is round. And then Plato is regarded as one of the first scholar to again propound the idea of Earth being a sphere and it is located at the center, and the sun and the other planetary bodies were moving around the Earth. Plato has also had many other contributions with respect to astronomy and other related sciences. He is one of the greatest contributors. And then I had Ptolemy. Ptolemy was another Roman scholar who also believed in astronomy, and he has written several books, almost about several volumes of encyclopedia relating to the Earth, and he was a great contributor, of course, in his several volumes of encyclopedia. It is said that there are quite a few errors with reference to some of the measurements and his inferences, but still at that point of time he was considered to be one of the great scholars. And then last but not the least is Strabo. He was a great philosopher, he was an historian, and he was also a geographer. He traveled extensively to many parts of the Roman Empire, and he wrote the epic book in geography called as the Geographical, which describes the entire known world for the Greeks at that time. And it is considered as an epic. And then he brings in a lot of information related to the Earth. So that is briefly about the 8 very important, popular and famous Greek scholars who contributed that. I will of course be sharing more details in the form of notes as we move on. But what is more important here to remember is one of the main contribution of the Greek scholars was in the field of astronomy. They, by developing those models in astronomy and the encyclopedia which shows the movement of those celestial bodies and all that, it was an immense contribution for the development of geography, because that took geography to dizzy heights during that time. But again, here what is important from the examination point of view is dualism and dichotomy, which you learn much later, has been given by Bernard Verenius. It is not that it is he may have coined that word dualism, but dualism existed even during the Greeks. As you see, if you go through the contributions of these geographers which we just discussed, on one hand you have the Anaximander and Thales of Miletius, who were the protagonists of the mathematical tradition of geography, whereas you will find Hecataeus, Herodotus and all that, all those who were proposing literary traditions. So there existed two contrasting or two parallel streams of study within the same subject. One was the mathematical tradition, the other was literary. So this dualism existed even during the Greeks. Similarly, dichotomy was also there during the Greeks, because even in literary traditions you will find two different streams. So that's how when any question comes to any of the concept, try to relate it, bring in the depth and enrich your answers by relating what was in the historical. It was not that dualism was only after Bernard Verenius, but it was also there during the Greeks. And then you try to bring in the present, the current trends in geography, where you read geography as physical geography, human geography, and world geography and Indian geography. So that is how your answers get enriched, by bringing in both the backdrop or the background of the. Yes, that word may have not been used, but that still existed. So that's how you will be able to frame rounded answers. So that's all from me in this video. In the next video, I'll be covering the contribution of Arab geographers as well as the age of the darkness. Okay, guys. So stay safe, study well, keep focused, and keep rocking. Okay. Bye.